Hey everybody, and we're back with another video. I'm really happy to be here, and I want to talk about 10 things I learned while living in Mexico City. I think this will be really valuable information for you, especially if you want to live in another country and you're trying to move abroad and you want to understand what are some of the intricacies and nuances that aren't usually mentioned in videos when they talk about, okay, cost of living, you need to know that. But what are some of the things that you might encounter and some of the inner feelings that you might deal with when living abroad? So, again, my name is Halise, and this channel is about living with ADHD. You can go back in other videos and just learn a little bit about my story. I can post them, and so that you can see what is going on with me. But I wanted to keep up with you about how I moved to Mexico City and what was that like? Sorry, I'm like, the hair sticking out, whatever, like what's going on? Let's get into the top 10 things to think about when you live in Mexico City. This could apply to Mexico, this could apply to other countries as well, but these are some things to think about. These are my lessons. I made them as a letter to myself. I was gonna publish it as a blog, but I think this is a great video for you to learn from. So number one, things that used to work may not always work. Now, this is the third time that I'm recording this video, and every time I go back and watch the playback, I'm like, okay, there's something that I need to know about this. The way that you do things, the way that you handle your life admin may not always work the way that it used to. Case in point, I used to pay my rent with Western Union, and then all of a sudden, after like 3 or 4 months of paying my rent with no issues with Western Union, it just didn't want to let me use that app anymore. So I had to find something else quickly, and I wanted to make sure that I stayed on top of paying my rent on time. So I quickly switched to Wise, but those are some of the things that you might deal with in terms of, exchanging money, paying people with US dollars, but you need to translate it to pesos. You might encounter some technical difficulties. You might encounter some glitches in the software. So you need to be prepared to just think on your feet, think quickly, and find an alternative. Always have a backup plan. That's the takeaway from that. Have a backup plan. Have a couple of different apps that you can use that will work with your current US bank account in order to pay rent. That's something that's not usually covered in videos like this, so keep that in mind. Number two, staying on the topic of money, your dollar is dynamic, so the way you think about money will change. Case in point, my rent would fluctuate based on the exchange rate from month to month. Some months my rent was higher, and some months my rent was significantly lower, like $40, $60 lower. So you will want to think about that when it comes to paying for things. It's not just about translating the US dollar into, or whatever currency you earn in, the euro, whatever it is. It's not about just translating that to pesos. It is about the value of a dollar. The value of a dollar will change, and you'll begin to think about things in the currency of the country that you live in. Well, hopefully. For me, after deciding to stay in Mexico, I was no longer a tourist, in my opinion. I wasn't going to try to just always think about things in the United States type of way. I was like, I need to really start thinking like a Mexican because I live here now. So I need to think about the value of things in a different way. Just because I can afford it doesn't mean I'm getting a good value for my money. So I need to think about that. And so that's something that you're definitely going to want to keep in mind. Number three, again, it's still on the topic of money, but I think it veers into other areas with this one. Things take longer and may not be the best quality. So for this example, I'm going to use going out to eat. So one thing I love about living in Latin America is that they really, take their time when it comes to things. Like, I moved to Mexico because I wanted to slow down and imbibe that culture of just like not being in a rush and not being pressed about things. Because is it ever really that serious? Doesn't matter if you get your food 15 or 20 minutes later, as long as you can languish in the environment. Like, I really wanted to have that and do that. So I basically took it like, it's fine. Like, but you just should know that even when you go out to eat, you may not get the best quality of food at times, especially if you're in a really touristy area, and, it may not be like the most obvious touristy area, but they may be cooking a type of food that they're not really specializing in. Like, for instance, pizza. I have found it really hard to get pizza that I like and approve of in Mexico City. I'm very serious about pizza. I'm very serious about all of my food, but that was one thing that was difficult. Like, I've gotten pizza that wasn't cooked in the middle. I've gotten pizza that was extra thick and doughy and didn't meet the standards, And then you can find good pizza, but you just have to kind of ask around, ask a local, and then they may have different ideas of what's good pizza. And so you really just have to keep that in mind. Like, you're not in the United States anymore, or you're not in your home country. I'll say that, because hopefully we have people tuning in from other places than just the United States, but you're not in your home country. So you can't expect always to get other types of food like the way that you would expect it in your home country. So think about that. And when it comes to things taking longer, it may take 15 minutes for someone to come to your table, and they may do it like they weren't even in a rush. I mean, they're just chilling. I mean, they're just living their lives. They're on their own type of time. And I highly suggest that you get on their type of time if you're going to be living there, particularly Mexico, but that applies to any country that you want to move to. Honestly, it was better for my health, so I embraced it. Number 4, get used to literally just not having access to things. So there were different times, like when my internet would go out, like for like a while. And there were times when the electricity just might go out like on the whole block. And so, or the whole street. So then you might go to the next block to the cafe, think that you're going to have electricity because you need to continue working. And then that just was not the case. So get you a portable charger, like a brick that can charge your laptop. It needs to have enough power to charge your laptop, not just your phone. If you work on your laptop, or if you just want your laptop for whatever reason, then you need to make sure that you have another power source. Sometimes people buy generators. I don't think a lot of people in Mexico City, like a lot of expats that I found in Mexico City, don't necessarily have generators, but in Playa del Carmen, and like other places that may not even have the amenities and some of the resources that Mexico City does, like I've definitely met people who have generators, because you just may not have access to things. There were times, I think my hot water was off for like several weeks. Now, it was an issue with the water heater, right? But my friend lived in a luxury apartment building, and in the heart of Roma Norte, and she didn't have hot water from time to time, or internet from time to time. And it wasn't like something terrible and life altering, but it was just an inconvenience, sometimes a major inconvenience. But it's really something that at the end of the day, it's not that serious for all the other benefits that you get. So that's what really taught me patience, dealing with things like that. Number 5, and I'm going to go into this on another video and more in depth, but as a Black woman, you may not be the standard of beauty. Now, I'm kind of moving away from this idea, but I'm thinking in terms of society-wise. In society, yes, all around the world, people love the beauty of Black women because we are unique. We are the purveyors of style and culture around the world. However, that doesn't necessarily mean that you will be seen as the most desirable, like just being in your natural form, where your body type, your hairstyle, something like locks really goes in a lot of places. And that's just something that people love. These are not locks, by the way. These are mini braids. But the point is, not even mini braids, just small braids. But the point is, you just may not be seen and desired in that way. Now, this is just my experience. I've met beautiful Black women everywhere, but I've seen them. They had no issues dating or anything like that. I just found that I wasn't really approached in the same way, and kind of like, shown that desire in the same way that I would be in other places. And that was something to keep in mind. But we're going to talk more about that in another video, because now that I've like completely decentered men, their gaze and their desire, it's fun. It's very, very fun, but it's not like my life force anymore. Like, it doesn't really matter to me as much as it used to. So number 6, you may feel like you're not doing enough to make the most out of your experience. This is something that I experienced because I move into the heart of this major city where there's all these amazing, beautiful Black people doing amazing artistic, creative things. And I find myself in the heart of that. And so I want to be everywhere, right? But I just can't be everywhere. And I love being home at times. I love being out all day, and then I can just be in the house for 3 days in a row and only go to my local market during one of those days. So I really, really like both. And Sometimes I felt guilty for not participating in all the things, but I'm here to let you know you don't have to participate in all the things to get the most out of living abroad, okay? You can still you can squeeze the most out of your experience while being home, even 60% of the time. If you're a homebody, be a homebody. You are who you are. Wherever you are, there you will be. So you don't need to try to become someone different just to make the most out of your experience if that's outside of what you want to do. When you do go out, just embrace it. But when you're home, embrace that too. I mean, I think it's very fun to be at home in Mexico. Like, it's just a beautiful place because I've got all my Mexican foods and my Mexican snacks, and I'm just chilling and the sun is streaming into the window and I'm just feeling very safe and loved at home. So I think that you need to embrace just feeling like you're not doing enough. Get that out of your head. Just embrace being yourself no matter what. Number 7. This is just a beautiful reminder and affirmation. You need to think about the ways in which your life has been enriched or will be enriched if you're still planning on moving by all the beautiful people, music, culture, food, crafts, languages, ideas, and access to healthcare and other deep and immense benefits of living abroad. Remember the good and practice immense gratitude. Remember the freedom, the independence, the trust, the faith and confidence that you've grown or will grow from the experience. Remember the rhythm to your life that you've cultivated. Remember you're designing your life. That's very, very key. I'm all about designing your life and creating your life. And your charge is to make the most of your situation and move with confidence about making changes. So let's say that you do want to make a change and you say that I want to start working out more, like I'm saving money in other areas. I can afford to join a health club. I can afford to go to regular yoga classes or try new things, Pilates. They have this app called FitPass, and I'll put my referral code. This is crazy because it's like I quit my FitPass because I just wasn't using it. But when I was using it, I wasn't using it consistently, but when I was using it, I got a lot out of it. It allows you to go to so many different gyms in Mexico and just try different classes, and it's kind of amazing. I found myself just ending up going to certain classes by certain teachers I like and just really dancing a lot and going to my friend's dance class, and I don't think she was on FitPass. So it ended up not being the move for me long term, but I might join it again. And if you decide you want to take this opportunity of a new environment to do something new with yourself, embrace that too. Get into it. You're creating your life as you go. Start taking classes. You might just become that dancing girl, that dancing guy, that fitness guy after all this time. So, don't be afraid to be yourself and bring parts of yourself to the experience that are already there and that you love. But if you want to make a change, take advantage of the new environment to do it and just be so grateful that you have this opportunity. So, wow. Number 8 is just this very thing. Did I memorize this list? Don't be afraid to experiment with changes in your life. Maybe you should start investing. Maybe you should try content making again. Living in a new country is a great reason to start making content. Maybe you should start taking dating seriously. Join a dating app. Maybe you should keep going after the things keep you stable. Therapy, writing, dancing, discovering new things. Remember, I wrote this as a letter to myself, so those are my things, but you may cultivate a different list. And it's really fun to go through values exercises and see what do you value at this point in your life? And those things can change. So definitely take advantage of the fact that you can experiment with changes in your life. Moving to a new country is already a big change. You don't have to do too many things at once. You can give yourself 3 to 6 months to get adjusted to that before you want to start something new. Me personally, as having ADHD, as being novelty driven, I be tending to wanting to do all the changes at once. And sometimes that can lead to a little bit of overwhelm, and I'm learning not to do that. But I typically do like to do about 2 to 3 major changes at a time because I just feel more excited about life that way. All right, number 9, don't overthink it. I know you're in your head, especially if you have ADHD and you're watching this channel. Please do a brain dump. Please write down every single thing you're thinking, good and bad, about your new decision. And please just don't overthink it. What you want to do is you want to take those fears and you want to write positive affirmations about them, or at least begin to start questioning and examining them so that that hey, just because I think a thought doesn't mean that it's definitely going to turn out that way. It could turn out amazing. I'm affirming that for my 2025, first of all, my birthday is in 2 days. Okay. But 2025, my life is going to be so much better than it ever was, and way better than I could have ever imagined. Universe surprised me. I already know that. So for me, the only thing I'm thinking about is how good it can get. But this has taken a lot of mental training through my winter arc, and we're still not done yet, to really, embody and affirm daily that I am grateful for my life. I create my life. Good things are happening for me all the time. Everything is already solved. There are no problems in my life. That type of thing. Number 10, you will get frustrated. Okay. Don't think that just because my experience was amazing that I didn't have really low moments. I had some really low moments, particularly the rainy season. Okay. I didn't do that much research before I moved. I mean, I researched what I thought I needed to know, but I capped it because I knew that I could get into my head and start hearing some people's bad reviews, and then let that creep into my head and affect my decision. So I refused to do that. I didn't want to do that this time. So I decided that I wasn't going to look too deeply into things. Also didn't know to look up the weather throughout the year and the seasons. I just thought the seasons were the seasons, and I thought it was warmer. Not necessarily. Mexico City is not necessarily the warmest country all the time. It is a country that's in the city. It is a city that's in the mountains. So that means that, you're going to get those cold fronts, and the rainy season that particular year, last year, was really, really rainy and really dark, and there wasn't a lot of sun. And I think I suffered vitamin D deficiency. I think it got pretty severe, and that affected my mood. So this year I know what to do. I'm going to get an artificial sun lamp. I know to maximize my mornings, because the morning and into the afternoon, and then around 2:00 is when it might start getting dark and rainy. So I know now that I have to be up and out of there so that I can maximize the actual sunlight that I get. Because even if you can get an artificial sun lamp and you can get vitamin D, there's nothing like the real thing. Okay. So I know now to make those adjustments, and I'm really looking forward, because I don't think the rainy season is going to be as severe, but I'll say this: Mexico City needs as much water as it can get. So I'm really grateful for the water that came. It's just that I wanted more sunlight, but sunlight evaporates water. So, balance. You'll get pissed off sometimes. You'll get discouraged at times. You simply won't have the life you envision when you envision making it in the United States or wherever your home country is. Now, that's more for me, but this can go with if you're redesigning your life and rediscovering what values you have and re-envisioning what your values are for your life, then you may relate to this. You may be deciding hey, I thought I was going to have a certain type of lifestyle in the United States, but I'm just realizing that whatever they want to charge for it, it ain't worth the price. So I'm going to go somewhere where I get a lot of value for my money. That's why a lot of expats are leaving. And yes, it creates issues in other countries, but it's not a total loss, because I have Mexican friends. My landlady was Mexican, and she was born and raised and, is in the rental market and all of that stuff. And she has seen the change in her neighborhood throughout her years. She's lived in the same neighborhood, and she can see the good and the pros of the expats moving in and more cultures coming and everything like that. So I think she's not alone in that sentiment. And I don't think everybody is upset at the gentrification. I experienced it too. I lived in Brooklyn for 15 years, well, various parts of New York, but mostly Brooklyn for about 15 years. I was, affected by people coming in from other countries and raising the prices. I've been there too. And so I feel as though the main thing is just to have compassion. I know that my choices are not always going to benefit everybody in the same way, but you have to live for you, and I don't think that as long as there's a place for me to rent and it welcomes me and the country has welcomed me, then I'm going to take advantage of it, because it's a beautiful country, and I love what it has brought to my life. So, there's pros and cons to everything, but I think there are ways in which you can support local. There's ways that you can actually enhance and be a blessing to the place that you decide to move to, even if you are coming in and helping to gentrify. That's a reality that you should accept, but don't accept it as a negative thing, because there can be some positives. So just make sure you keep that in mind. But, bad things can happen, but you overall have made the best decision of your life to do this. 11, bonus thing to think about bonus lesson for me. Your mind controls all of this. And when I say all of this, your mind controls how you perceive the situations and the things that happen to you. I'm not saying that your mind controls everything that happens. I'm saying that it controls how you react to things. Control your mind and let love carry you through the rest of the way. You do have this, and you are making the right decision. I can assure you of that. You're making the right decision by deciding to move. I'm making the right decision by deciding to be here. And I think you've made the right decision in supporting this video. So make sure that you like and subscribe, share this. I hope that this opened up some jewels for you, some things you may not have originally thought about. And I hope this got your wheels turning about how you're going to make your next move and leave where you are and go either come to Mexico City, or some other country, you know. Really apply this and really get the most out of it that you can. So thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next one.